So why do people visit Colombia? There's a vibrant culture and a rich history, but for us, it's about the birds. 20% of the world's bird species call Colombia home. That's 1,863 species. Colombia ranks number 3 in the world in biodiversity, behind Brazil and Indonesia. It's number 1 in the diversity of bird species. So why so many different birds? It's all about geography. The Andes form the backbone of South America, from the southernmost tip of the continent to Colombia. But a strange thing happens in Colombia. The Andes split into 3 cordilleras, or mountain ranges, called the West, the Central, and the East Ranges. On this trip, we're exploring the mountainous areas, but there's more to Colombia than mountains. There's the coastal plains for both the Pacific and the Caribbean, and to the south are the plains that drain into the Amazon, mostly jungle, and the Orinoco, mostly grassland. These ecosystems are very different, and the animals have adapted and evolved. About 80 bird species are found nowhere else in the world, and another 70 plus are near endemic, found only in Colombia and neighboring countries like Ecuador and Venezuela. For example, the red-bellied grackle is endemic to Colombia, and their range, the green area on the map, is limited to subtropical mountain forests between 2,600 and 7,900 feet elevation. The black-billed mountain toucan is near endemic with a range from Ecuador to Venezuela. This adventure starts in Bogota, the capital of Colombia, where we meet Alex and our guide Dorian. Our first destination is the Hummingbird Observatory, a bed and breakfast in the hills east of Bogota. There are 165 species of hummingbird in Colombia, more than any other country. The Hummingbird Observatory attracts 14 different species with feeders and flowering plants. On the grounds are a gift shop, whimsical statues, hummingbird-friendly plants, and dozens of feeders. While we didn't see all 14 species, we sure had enough to whet our appetite for more. One of the most impressive hummingbirds is the sparkling violet ear. Its green and blue iridescent feathers truly sparkle in the sun. Its name comes from the long violet feathers over its ears that this territorial bird will show to intimidate rivals. Sparkling violet ear is 5 to 5.5 inches long and is widespread in the highlands of northern and western South America, including large parts of the Andes. They inhabit a variety of open landscapes, from the edges of forests to gardens and city parks, between 3,300 feet and 14,800. The blue-throated star frontlet is only slightly smaller than the sparkling violet ear. The name comes from the male's iridescent blue throat. The male's green chest, rosy belly, green forehead, green back, and blue rump make them one of the most colorful hummingbirds. The females are not nearly as showy as the males. They're found in Colombia and Venezuela. They inhabit montane forests and scrubby slopes between 6,200 and 10,800 feet. The Tyrian metaltail is a small bird with attitude. Males will actively defend their territory. They're 3.5 to 4 inches long. The name metaltail comes from the metallic sheen of their tail feathers. Early naturalists chose the name Tyrian because they thought the tail feathers matched the famous Tyrian purple dye of antiquity. They range from Venezuela to Bolivia along the Andes from 4,900 to 10,800 feet. Glowing pufflegs are about the same size as the Tyrian metaltails, 3.5 to 4 inches. They're easy to identify from the white feathery bloomers they wear on their legs, hence puffleg. They're all iridescent green except for a small purple throat patch and a dark blue tail. They prefer the edges of subtropical forests between 7,500 and 11,500 feet. They can be found in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. The wood star is one of the bee hummingbirds. The male and the female look very different. The wood star, at a little over 3 inches, is noticeably smaller than the other hummingbirds. Due to their small wing area, they beat their wings faster than the other hummingbirds, making a whirring sound as they fly. They can be found in the Andes from Colombia through Ecuador and Peru to Bolivia. They prefer the edges of humid forests, pastures, and cultivated areas between 7,200 and 9,200 feet. Longomir's sun angel is a good example of the fun ornithologists have had with hummingbird names. Agathe Longomir, a French ornithologist, first described the hummingbird in 1841. In 1848, the famous English ornithologist John Gould introduced the genus Heliangelus, sun angels, even though this one doesn't look much like an angel. They're medium-sized, 3.5 to 4 inches long. They are near endemic, found in the eastern Andes of Colombia and the adjacent mountains of western Venezuela. They prefer the edges of humid forests between 5,900 and 11,800 feet. The sword-billed hummingbird has the dubious honor of having the longest bill of any hummingbird and the largest with respect to body length of any bird. Their bill is between 3 and 4.5 inches long, while the body is 5 to 5.5 inches long from head to tail. They're found in the Andes from western Venezuela through Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. The swordbill's range and the range of the Passiflora mixta suggest coevolution. The flower depends on the swordbill for pollination, and the swordbill gets an exclusive food source. The green-tailed train bearer is another example of ornithologists having fun with names. Long-tailed was not good enough, so it was train bearer. This female train bearer is 4.6 inches long, including its 2.4-inch tail. The male is larger, with a 5-inch long tail. They inhabit secondary woodland and brushy slopes from 5,600 to 12,500 feet from Colombia to Bolivia. The glossy flower piercer competes with the hummingbirds for flower nectar. It has a specialized beak with a hook on the tip, which, as the name implies, is used to make a hole in the base of the flower so that it can access the flower's nectar. Like many of the hummingbirds we've seen here, the flower piercer is found in humid montane forests from Venezuela through Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. It's been a busy day at the Hummingbird Observatory, and I'm still recovering from the long plane ride. I'm hoping for a good night's sleep tonight.